Greetings, and welcome to Today in Trek, our daily show about what has, is, and will happen in the world of Trek. It's January 13th, and our guest host today is Admiral Kethsa of the Romulan Republic, doing her daily cleanup on Mol Rihan, or, as we call it in our language, New Momulus. Coffee of the day is Devil Dog from Gun Barrel Coffee in Batavia, Illinois. Check them out at gunbarrelcoffee.com. On to Today in Trek. Birthdays first. I didn't realize that life got this niche, but in 1929, Dr. Morton Greenspoon was born. He was a contact lens specialist who worked in 3 episodes of TNG, The Drumhead, Identity Crisis, and Conundrum. Lan O'Koon, writer of the TNG episode Haven, was born in 1932. In 1938, actor Charlie Brill was born. Brill played Arn Darvin in the classic TOS episode The Trouble with Tribbles, and in the DS9 episode Trials and Tribulations. There is a story, and I'm assuming it's true as it's revealed in Memory Alpha, that Ronald D. Moore, Renee Echevarria, and Ira Stephen Bear were at a pizza restaurant discussing the Trials and Tribulations episode, and Bear commented that, of all the original Tribble actors, probably only Charlie Brill would be available. He then, quote, looked to his left, only to then notice that the actor himself was at the counter with his wife. Now, I don't know if that's a timing is everything story or a location story, but either way. Ray De La Motte and Matthew Faison were both born on this day in 1944. De La Motte was a camera operator in the DS9 episode The Siege of AR-558. Faison played the character Sir Mac Wren in the DS9 first season episode Babel. Paramount Pictures chairman Brandon Tartikoff was born in 1949. One of his first tasks as chairman was to oversee the issues with Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country, which had resulted in the firing of his predecessor. With the subsequent success of the film and TNG, he ordered the 3rd live-action Star Trek series with the plan of creating a chain of overlapping Star Trek series with 7-year lifespans. Tartikoff's interaction with the Star Trek franchise and all of the thoughts, ideas, planning, and actions makes for fascinating reading. If you'd like to read more, check out Memory Alpha and Trek, the unauthorized behind-the-scenes story of the Next Generation, and the DS9 Season 1 DVD, A Bold New Beginning. Kim Manning, who directed the TNG episode When the Bow Breaks, was born in 1951. Writer Ralph Sanchez, who co-wrote the TNG episode Home Soil, was born in 1958. IDW Publishing's art director Neil Uyetake was born in 1970. He was involved in the production of 42 Star Trek-related IDW comics. Una McCormick was born in 1972. She is the author of several Star Trek novels and stories. In other Trek-related stuff, in 1987, patent D as in David 287739 was issued to inventor William George for his, quote, toy communicator, close quote, from Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. In the I didn't know this stuff existed department, apparently Paramount Pictures sought patents on scanners, costumes, communicators, comm badges, ships and shuttles, and even on the little SETI ear creatures from Wrath of Khan. Paramount discontinued getting patents on their items after 1987, presumably feeling that the copyright was sufficient protection, and patents only last 14 years, while copyrights last for the life of the author plus 70 years in general. Also, copyrights are generally far cheaper than patents. In Trek series on this day, it was a quiet day for Star Trek first airings. Lots of writing and rewritings of scripts, lots of interim parts of filming, yada yada yada. However, the Prodigy episode First Contact was released in 2022 on this day. On a sad note, Star Trek script researcher Joan Pierce died in 2005. She performed research for multiple Star Trek series, starting with TOS and concluding with Enterprise. Morgan Jones, who played Colonel Nesvig in the TOS episode Assignment Earth, died in 2012. Trek History of the Future. Section 31 premieres in 13 days. It will be shown on Paramount Plus in the U.S. and other international markets that have Paramount Plus, and on Sky Showtime in other international markets, but not premiering until February 7th. So last time we talked about this, we were discussing how Section 31 came into being and how it morphed from being a series to a streaming movie. But we still don't know much about the plot, and to be honest, there's not a lot being released ahead of time. What has been said is that, quote, Emperor Felipa Giorgio is tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets. She must also face the sins of her past. Close quote. This is less than vague, so let's see what we can figure out from Discovery and the trailers that have been released. In the teaser trailer, released at the 2024 Comic-Con, there's quite a bit of hinting at a backstory, as it appears that a younger Giorgio has either executed a coup or has seen the death of the current emperor, leaving her in charge. What's interesting are the emotions on the young girl's face, played by Miku Martineau. It's clearly not one of triumph, but rather one of pain, as she mourns over the body of someone. Her mother, perhaps? In Discovery, Giorgio states that she killed her mother, but Michael Burnham says that she didn't. And there's also a measure of confusion in her composure, as if something grievous has happened, and she's left to deal with the consequences. But apparently the events were not of her making. Nonetheless, there's an inference, shown by her donning a cape and raising a knife, that she has now become emperor. From that point, we shift perspective to a prime timeline space station where the former emperor now rules. From Discovery, we know that she was transported back by Michael Burnham after suffering critical injuries during a coup attempt by Mira Lorca, then transported again later in the series. Why did Burnham transport her? Well, Burnham felt a bond to Giorgio based on her relationship with the Primeline Giorgio, who had been her mentor, and through some really bad decisions on Burnham's part, died. Similarly, Mira Giorgio had a mentor-parent type relationship with Mira Burnham, whom she adopted. Mira Burnham became a powerful captain and allied with Mira Lorca to execute Mira Giorgio and take the throne. Mira Giorgio sent Burnham to kill Lorca. Lorca's people destroyed Burnham's shuttle, and presumably killing her. Then Lorca's ship, the Baran, was destroyed, which presumably sent him to the Prime Timeline. When Prime Timeline Burnham went to the Mirror Timeline, Giorgio assumed that she was the Burnham she knew, and it wasn't until some time later that Burnham revealed herself to be the Prime Timeline Burnham. Events happened, and in a moment of what can only be called self-sacrifice, Giorgio tried to stay behind to give Burnham time to escape, only to be pulled into the transporter and saved, albeit into a universe where she was no longer the head honcho. Giorgio ended up giving her assistance to Starfleet during the Klingon War, doing what was described as what had to be done, which turned out to be threatening to explode a bomb in a volcano on Kronos. Do not let me get going with any of the physics of this. Discovery and physics do not go together. But that's for another day. Anyway, Burnham and L'Rell save the day, ending the war, and Giorgio is given an Orion cabaret on Kronos. According to Memory Alpha, it was during this time that she's approached by Section 31 and in return recruits Tyler to join. And I'm skipping a lot of subtleties in which Giorgio and Burnham go out to other adventures, and Giorgio gets toasty once again, only to be saved by the Guardian of Forever. Like I said, yada, 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 yada. There's 20-some episodes if you want to go into detail. In the trailer, however, the cabaret is referenced as a starbase, so it's not on Kronos. In the trailer, it's stated that Giorgio has killed millions of her own people, so presumably that's one of the sins she has to confront, and that Section 31, despite being Black Ops, is still governed by Starfleet, and therefore they don't condone murdering people, which Giorgio scoffs at. Starfleet's facing a threat unlike any they've seen before. Billions of lives are at stake. We're given the line to protect the light and later against the dark, but no further details than that. There's lots of visuals, lots of spacey pew-pew, some martial arts, some aliens running around. So what's the plot? As yet, we still don't know, but given what we do see, the concept of personal redemption, or at least facing the sins of the past, seems to be a bit of a far reach. As to face them, you first have to acknowledge that they exist. And that doesn't seem to be a trait in Giorgio's wheelhouse. Let's just say that empathy is not one of her virtues. And how do you face the sins of your past if you don't acknowledge them first? So, is this going to be a they have to save the galaxy from whatever plot? A plot of Giorgio's personal redemption arc? And while Michelle Yeoh as an actress could absolutely pull that off, it's going to take a heck of a lot of great writing to get that to happen in a 2-hour movie. And have all that typical sci-fi space movie stuff. So what are we going to see? And more to the point, what makes Trekkies want to watch it? Is it the pew-pew? Or is it the stories of the people behind the pew pew? We'll take a look at that next time. Until then, everyone, take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.